Okay, well, looks like we're going to be back here online. We did have a mass disconnect there on our server for some reason after you got the opportunity to watch some of that great action. Well, those of you who were on Twitch originally, of course, we have switched over now to live stream. So once again, we're going to suffer that quality hit, and it could very well be that I'll disconnect as well, but we're going to do the best that we can anyway. And Al's going to hang out just as long as he can, and I think Rich Roman is going to jump in there and help us out as well. Now, Rich, you had the opportunity to watch some of that broadcast over there on Twitch and see teammate Thomas Schubeck have a pretty fine run out there. Were you like what you were seeing from him?
Yes. Me and Thomas really actually like the Viper here. This is probably one of the better tracks for the car out of the whole entire season aside from Indianapolis. So, yeah, I'm expecting to see a good run out of Thomas, and it was good. It was nice to see him. I think just before everything went to shit, I think he was running around 11th.
Yeah, I had a fine run going, and it does look like I think he's managed to build some more speed here after jumping back in, and I mentioned over there on Twitch, I think that he could become a real asset to Panzerfaust if you guys try to stick together for another season.
Yeah, I would love to. The biggest problem is for me is just some of my travel. But Tommy works hard on his setups, and he's been putting in a lot of time to get back up to speed for having such a long absence. And me and Tommy get along well, and his setups I can usually take a look at and tweak, and usually work pretty well together. So he has a good feel for the car. He just needs more seat time, basically.
Yeah, indeed. And Al and I have switched seats here, but what were your thoughts on the race as it was up until our technical issues there, Al? I thought we had a pretty good run going for these guys, huh? I think Al may have stepped away just temporarily there, so in the meantime, we'll try to get another racer's perspective on it here. Ian Jolicoeur, you're here on NAGP TV. Do you copy?
Oh, hey guys.
Yeah, so it looked like it was a rough start for you out there, Ian. You did have to start in the back after missing that qualifying period, but we also saw some problems there with the front end of your car. Could you walk us through what happened?
Yeah, had a great clean start. I think I gained 5 positions there by corner 3, and we were all braking for corner 3, and I got slammed into in the back there by Sol. He came up, didn't mean it. Just damp track conditions there caught him off guard, I think.
Yeah, well, it looks like we're going to get a restart here. I know that you're probably on the grid waiting to rejoin this race, and it's going to be a little later, I think, at the drop of that checkered flag than everybody would like. But now that we have a reset here, do you think that your team is going to be back in contention for this thing? It's quite a points battle up there for that team classification.
It is. We've had some good success in the past, but with me missing the race last week, I'm just shooting for a good finish tonight, leaving it in Marty's hands as to where we're going to finish in the team championship. But just hoping to have a good, clean race. And before you guys let me go, I just want to say thanks for all the great work broadcasting this season. It's been awesome.
Well, we're happy to do it, Ian. It's great that you guys come out and race here week after week, and it's nice to get some recognition there on the server. Any other questions from our broadcasters?
No, I think I have to imagine Ian's pretty happy that this is going to be a nice little redo for him.
It's an understatement, my friend. Understatement.
Quality 2. I found it.
Yep, thank you.
Well, thanks, guys.
Yep, thank you, Ian. Appreciate it. I'm going to get you back down into this Saturday room. So, that was Ian Jolicoeur. Now, he downplayed, I think, a little bit about some of his aspirations there in that team and their possibility of getting that championship. I'm sorry, I'm just going through a few things here as I'm loading up. But I think actually that they could have a real shot at this thing. As we talked a lot about it on Twitch before we had our problems, but a lot of this is going to come down to Team Columbia's Juan Monroy, I think, as Andres Prieto certainly showed that he had the pace on the field here tonight. So Juan Monroy once again going to be tested, but it looked like he, despite giving up a couple positions there early, that he had pretty good pace here. So still a tough test, and we'll see if everybody manages to stay connected this time for our rerunning of our Season 20 season ender here at Spa. Al, any thoughts?
Well, I'll chime in here. I'll say, well, you got to believe that Ian and maybe even Marty were, a little crushed with Ian's problems. That was going to be really hard for him to come back from. So I know Marty had a good run going, and he was a little bothered by the restart, with the mass disco. But hey, that gives Ian and Marty another shot there at the team title, and that I think they're a team that can definitely do it. Ian can definitely move up through the field.
Yeah, well, absolutely, no question, and that's why I mentioned it, because when you have a guy with that type of talent, anything can certainly happen over the course of 2 hours. So we appreciate you all jumping over here to live stream, and we're going to bring you the best pictures that we can. Our quality is going to take quite a hit here, but in the meantime, as we prepare to get started, I did want to bring another driver in here and get his quick thoughts. Andres Prieto, this is Brad Mears and Rich Roman here at NAGP TV. Do you copy?
Hi, guys. How are you? I copy.
Yeah, well, it looked like that was a great start for you in the opening running here. What do you think about this restart here? Are you going to have any extra nerves going on for the start of this race?
Definitely seeing the way Chris and Aaron get off the line. It's gonna be harder to keep them behind, but we'll see what happens.
Well, it certainly seemed like you had the pace, so I guess even if they do happen to squeeze in front of you, do you like your chances over the course of a full 2 hours?
Yeah, I do like my chances. I have a good pace, and hopefully I can get it together and keep it on track. Even if they pass me, I think I can get the race and hopefully the championship, depending on where Alex finishes.
Yep, roger that. Rich, any quick thoughts?
Well, as we look at the temperature right now, it looks pretty cold. Would that cause any bit of concern with your car? I mean, or do you feel your car is good in any temperature right now?
Yeah, I do prefer when it's hotter, but when it's cold, I think we almost have the same condition. So yeah, I prefer hot, but I'm not too worried if it's cold.
Yeah, the difference between the Pirellis and the Michelins, I would have to think that I think Ezra's on the Michelins, or is it Chris on the Michelins? I forget, but I would think that puts a little bit of advantage towards them if it's nice and cold. But if your setup is good either way, it should work out for you just as well.
Yeah, well, we'll let you go and get ready for this event, Andres. Best of luck out there tonight, and we'll see where it ends up at.
Okay, thank you guys.
Hey guys, Al, you coming?
I think Al is out.
All right. Mongrain is not going to run either, so he's out.
Oh.
Yeah, Mongrain and Sportelli, I know, have issues with their schedule, and of course would love to start this some other time, unfortunately.
Okay, well, yeah, that's unfortunate. So that's if both those drivers aren't here, 05 Motorsports will have a very difficult time retaining that team title, unfortunately. So 2-point lead for those guys, but won't likely hold up if they're both out of this event. So once again, we'll remind you that though we have lost a few viewers, this is more of a community broadcast at this point, and real quickly wanted to make sure that we thanked everybody who's come out and unfortunately suffered tonight through some technical issues. But all of our drivers, we appreciate you so much coming out week after week and all the effort you put in. And we'll bring you the best pictures that we can. Unfortunately, that quality, once again, will take a little bit of a hit. So Rich, how do you approach these types of restarts yourself? You know, you've had to do it. Now you have to, you know, you're going to have to suffer through a longer period of time than you'd like out there on track. Do you think about maybe playing it more conservatively? Are you just kind of upset? Does this get in your head at all?
Yeah, for me, it really just depends on how your race was going in the first place. You know, I mean, you know, a guy like Eza and Andre, you know, at one point they're basically leading the race, and it's kind of like a little bit of a downer, going, oh, you know, I got to start this over again. But the good thing is, you know, you kind of say, all right, I can see maybe where I need to improve the car. Maybe you figured, oh, you know, I really should have did a last minute adjustment, maybe just to tweak the car a little bit. You know, a lot of times for me, if you're one of the guys like Ian, you got to be happy as all can be to get another crack at this, knowing that you can do a much better job. So I'd be pretty pumped up at this point.
Indeed. Well, all these guys are about getting pumped up themselves as we have switched over to the race session here, and they are going to be lining up on the grid and going off for our season 20 season-ending feature race here, our redo. Again, we're going to suffer some quality hits on those pictures, but we'll do the best job we can for you. And once again, thanks to everybody who has tuned in, and thanks to all our drivers here for competing for this season 20 championship. So we did your field rundown last time. We aren't going to go ahead and rehash all that for you now. We're just going to sit back and see what happens here over the course of this 2-hour event. And it looks like the majority of our field is lined up, as our conditions are just about perfect now, running 81 degrees Fahrenheit out there on track, so no issues in terms of the damp track this time. And we saw, who was it? Somebody didn't get the opportunity to take the grid last time. I can't remember who that was, but they aren't here again either. So let's just see how we do with the full grid here at Spa on this relatively old computer. Yeah, it was a near false start there for Alex White, but I think he managed to keep it clean. Andres Prieto gets out to that lead he so desperately needs. Well, David Ralli has made a rocket start.
Chris Moses has got to be happy with his restart here.
Oh, and it has fallen apart here a little bit for Alex White, coming off of Kimmel. Loses only a single position, but he will suffer some damage there on that BMW Z4. Juan Monroy has slipped as a result into the 4th position here. So good for Team Columbia as we sit.
Alex White just has to keep that, you know, he's got to let that incident go. He's got to keep his head on his shoulders there and just keep driving. He's in this race, he's got good fuel mileage. He's just got to stay up there in the top 5, and he can still pull out a good finish for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing we know about Alex White is he is generally pretty cool under pressure, so I think he'll quickly be able to regroup, though I can see that he is trying to put as much pressure as he can at the moment on Juan Monroy to try to get that position back. Now, Alex White did appear to have speed on Juan Monroy in our first running here, so I think there's a possibility he could get by, but for Juan Monroy, it's a very good start, as he had fallen back all the way to 9th in our opening round, or our opening session, whatever you want to call it. So much better shape for Team Columbia at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm possibly being having David possibly keep a fast car maybe back to keep the pressure on his race.
Indeed, but as we now go to Marty Ren, we did see him have a very good pace in that race, getting past not only Alex White but Chris Moses as well, as they had a nice dice going early. So Marty Ren certainly does have the pace to get up there, and still very much a factor, as you say, with that Ian Jolicoeur having the chance to have a redo, and hopefully he hasn't taken damage. We're going to check back through the field here momentarily, as we just want to get these guys a little settled here. Now on board with David Ralli, looking at Esteban Palacio down the Keppel Straight. So, let's make sure we don't miss anything up here right fast, as Aaron Parsons is now running third. Chris Moses has made a good start. We failed to mention that. So as opposed to last time, slipping back early, Chris Moses has now established himself in second position, and I wonder if Aaron Parsons maybe doesn't have a little bit of pace on Chris Moses here as they work a little deeper into the race, though of course this race has started dry where the other one started damp, so different conditions for sure, but I wonder about that Aaron Parsons-Chris Moses matchup, and if they can make any inroads on that Audi of Andres Prieto. So while we have a second, let's make sure that we do get caught up a little bit here on where people are running. Alex White still putting a little bit of pressure there on Juan Monroy for that fourth position. Well, Esteban Palacio is being pressured by David Ralli and now Marty Ren. So Marty Ren 8th. Salem Montgomery Jr. has retained his nice spot on the grid in 9th, and I can see just behind him Mike Greatrex as well in 10th. But we see now Thomas Schubeck is in 11th. Now Thomas Schubeck in our first running had slipped back quite a ways before coming up to 11th. So already in the 11th position for Thomas Schubeck. That bodes very well over the remainder of this race. And John Houston, I can see, has made a good start as well, picking up a few positions from where he started on the grid. Gregory Myers now won't have trouble on those intermediate tires. He'll be able to go ahead and take the full slicks and not have a problem here in these conditions. So better shape for Gregory Myers as well. Brian Storey off to a good start here, now running P15, but 14, excuse me, but falling under pressure from Jaime Mor, who I believe had a problem on our first start. So Jaime Mor taking advantage of his redo. Gup Douglas as well. Gup Douglas in trouble early in that first running. So the field much more confident, I'd have to say, here in these dry conditions as opposed to the damp. Ian Jolicoeur quickly. Oh, as we see it coming together now between, I believe that is Brian Storey and, oh boy, I lost whoever the darn Lambo was, but Brian Storey coming to a bad end there, coming up a Rouge. So, Ian Jolicoeur now making rapid progress up through this field, starting from the back, now putting a lot of pressure on Gup Douglas, and it has to be said that very likely Ian Jolicoeur will have pace on Gup Douglas, so Ian Jolicoeur will be looking very much forward to taking over that 14th position, while Mike Monahan will be lurking as well, so much less trouble going on for Mike Monahan. Now, before that massive disconnect, Mike Monahan had crept into the 15th position. And that team title was very much in doubt with Andres Prieto having that disconnect, but of course, Andres Prieto no longer disconnected from this race. So that was, again, Jaime Mor, who has had the problem with Brian Storey. And Rich, you just go ahead and jump in there if you see any hot action taking place around there. Though Matt Taylor showing quite a bit of damage on that Porsche now. Matt Taylor hung on to that 15th starting position, I think, a little bit longer than he did this second go-around, and quickly falling under pressure from, I believe that is Sam Rolfe, but in quite a nice dice here over that 17th position between those four drivers. So indeed, looking back now to Sam Rolfe, who he also was not running up this far in that first running, so Sam Rolfe taking advantage of his reset, and Marco Conti as well.
I did happen to notice we had a few other cars in the pits when we were watching the Storey accident. Don't know who else it was. Just watching from what I can see. Oh, I think we got a car spinning one of the Porsches.
Yep, roger that, Rich. We'll try to get you caught up on that as soon as we can. Lou Masciarelli now running in the 21st position. And So Long, I believe that was the Porsche we saw spinning off. I'm going to assume that was somewhere in the second sector, but sporting a little bit of damage on that Porsche.
No, I think it was Matt. Is Matt Taylor in the other Porsche? That's what I had seen.
Matt Taylor is in the other Porsche, however, still running relatively okay. He's not. It did look like that was Matt Taylor, who has slipped back to the 19th position, also sporting a little bit of damage to the front of that Porsche. So indeed, Matt. Yeah, sorry, Rich. So indeed, Matt Taylor was running up there around the 15th spot. So. Oh, Jack.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rich.
I was gonna say, yeah. Basically, what I had seen, Matt Taylor came through one of the turns. Can't remember the name right now, and just had lost the back end and was lucky to collect it back up, not really get into it with like any other cars, and then just basically be able to go.
Yep, roger that. Well, we now take a look at Jack Ivey, who it looks like Jack Ivey has quickly gone a lap down here, as I believe that those cars in front are Juan Monroy and Alex White just in front. And it looks like Juan Monroy has gotten past Alex White there at Blanchemont. We'll get you caught up on that momentarily. Chuck Carter was having a very fine run in our first going, however, finds himself a little further back as he has now become lap traffic himself. And that is David Ralli and Marty Ren coming through. So Johnny Lugnuts now is out of this race, and that's unfortunate because he was having a relatively fine run in our first going. So quickly down to 24 cars here as we begin our second, our Spa B feature, I guess you could say. So that'll get you temporarily caught up, but we could see, oh, Dan Wilkerson and Kevin Miller have come to some sort of bad end out there as well. So unfortunate for those guys. We've had a few more retirements, I'd say, I think, than we had the first race, minus the massive disconnect. So, Andres Prieto has taken, I wouldn't say a stranglehold of this race, but certainly runs out front. And Chris Moses has not crept any closer than from the last time that we looked at that gap, and we'll take a look at those lap times here when we get the opportunity. Now, as suspected, I did wonder about Aaron's pace relative to Chris Moses, and it looks like he is hanging pretty tough with Chris Moses as we just watched the gaps there on track, now hanging a couple seconds off of Chris's bumper. I think that the action, however, is quickly going to be over some of these other positions here. Alex White has gotten back past Juan Monroy. So Alex White running in that fourth position, and I was wondering about Alex's pace relative to Juan Monroy, and I think maybe these guys are very close on pure dry pace here to start. Alex White, once again, as mentioned on the other feed there, will take quite an advantage with him into these pit stop rotations and have a nice advantage there on fuel. So as they run, Alex White does retain that Season 20 Drivers Championship. But,
well, Alex has got two things working for him right now. He's got these nice cold temperatures which work well for the Michelins, not so well for the Pirellis. And like you already mentioned, we mentioned several times, the fuel mileage. So right now he just needs to play a nice, cool, and calm race. 4th, 5th place, good enough. He's pulling away, it looks like, from the rest of the field. And he just needs to let the race come to him, and he'll find himself in a good position to retain the title. Yeah, certainly. And Alex White's strength really is calmness under pressure, I would say. And really what needs to happen, in my opinion, is for drivers to come up and pass Alex White, to not
have trouble out there and to be consistent and fast enough to be able to pass this guy, that's really the only way Andres Prieto is going to have an opportunity at this championship. So don't expect a mistake from Alex White. It's going to be the guys behind that perhaps make mistakes, which will allow him to. That'd be his best shot for Andres Prieto. As we see Juan Monroy now trying to take a look here.
Alex fights so hard for just one spot. He won't give that up. He's gonna fight that hard throughout the race. Something he did last season, even when he didn't need to. Right now, he needs to, and he's gonna do it.
Yeah, generally that's true. There's only once or twice I think we saw where he really kind of played it cagey and didn't fight too many people. He is under a much different situation here in this second running. He's not under nearly as much pressure as he was, so I think he can afford to fight here a little bit harder with Juan Monroy. He had a couple other charging guys behind him in Chris Moses and Marty Ren before, so he's got a little more time here. You won't be losing as much time fighting with just one. So let's take a quick look. You may not be able to see it on your broadcast, but I'll take a quick look at the timing and scoring here, see where everybody might be running relative to each other, get you a good fight. And one guy we should pay a little bit of attention to is Mike Greetrex. Now, of course, we saw him have that great run in our qualifying race in the wet. And Mike Greetrex continued to put in a fine run here. Started in that 10th spot and now running T11. So not usual to see Mike Greetrex up there, but it certainly is good to see. And he has quite a good pony underneath him also, it should be said, in this Aston Martin. Pretty good performer around this Spa circuit. He has been engaged with Thomas Schubeck here, actually, not quite since the start of the green flag, but certainly over the last 3 or 4 laps now. So a nice dice going on over that 11th position. And, you know, Rich, now that I take a look at it, Thomas Schubeck was in 11th. So, yeah, Thomas Schubeck has gotten past. I don't think it was by Mike Greetrex, but now that battle between those two has become joined.
Yes, another car came up through the field. I'm not quite sure who it was. It was just past both Mike and Thomas' position. You can see Thomas is pretty much all over that car of that Aston Mike. You know, I'll tell you right now, if he doesn't get him, if he doesn't get the position, he'll definitely get the points because the bike will definitely get. Ooh, that's let's go.
Yeah, and it should be mentioned as well that Rich is going to have a little bit of difficulty commenting here on this race. Unfortunately, he's not in the server with us, so Rich relying on some delayed pictures and whatever live timing and scoring he could pick up. So, unfortunately, Rich wasn't able to actually be in the race at all here tonight, but we're very glad to have you along, as Al unfortunately had to take care of some commitments. So, good to have you here, Rich, and thanks for filling in as best as you can.
No problems.
So we see as that Thomas Schubeck Mike Greetrex fight is continuing here, that the speedy Ian Jolicoeur is rapidly making up ground as well. So important positions here for Ian Jolicoeur in that possible team championship these guys would like to get here, but with Team Columbia running pretty strong there at the front, quite a bit more work to do here for Ian Jolicoeur. Now, a driver who has continued to pick up positions himself is Mike Monahan, running in that 14th position. And these guys are in the same boat, those Chow Mein Moto squads. I think perhaps Esteban won't have quite the pace that rival Marty Ren will have running a little bit further up, but still involved and still looking to do whatever they can should Andres or Juan Monroy of that Team Columbia have any difficulty. Unfortunately, if you're just joining us, the 05 Motorsports squad, who are 2 points up in this team championship and still really in it, I guess you could say, unfortunately have not made the grid here when we had to switch over after a massive disconnect. So we had to rerun this race, start it late, and unfortunately neither of the 05 Motorsports guys were able to be here. I'll get it out of my mouth eventually. Really unfortunate there, so that's sad to see, but I guess they do still have an outside shot as they are currently in the lead for that team championship.
Just taking a quick look here at some live time and scoring. Not sure how far behind it actually is, but you have Andres, Prieto, you have Chris Moses, and Aaron Parsons. They're all running the 219s range, and you have Alex White and Juan Monroy. They're basically in lockstep doing the 220s, and then everyone else got the 221s, 222s until you get all the way back to Ian, who's the next driver running in the 220s again. So I'm sure Ian's going to keep making his way up through the field eventually to the sports. Don't know how high he's going to get, but he is going to be up to the positions for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, and you know, our field has become really quite spaced out here early. I didn't see quite as much of that here in our first running, so quite a few drivers have dropped also, so some attrition, and I'm wondering if we didn't miss something toward the back on our restart here tonight. So unfortunate position for some of these guys who are out of this race, but it does look like the majority of our, with the exception of 05 Motorsports, are still out there and running, so plenty of storylines here yet to cover.
Again, looking at live timing and scoring, again, I'm not sure how far behind I am, but it looks like Ezra and Chris Moses are basically within a few tenths of each other. Might want to take a look and see where they're going.
Yeah, so indeed, it does look like Aaron Parsons has clawed back a little bit of time on Chris Moses. It's not uncommon, Rich, and you can speak to this yourself, but it's not completely uncommon to see Chris Moses fade a little bit toward the end of tire stints, as we see Aaron Parsons now making that pass down this long Kemmel straight. And really getting it done pretty easily. So going back to that Chris Moses and tire wear issue, it's not uncommon to see Chris sometimes struggle a little bit toward the end of stints. That's about the only time you will see Chris Moses perhaps occasionally have some problems.
Oh no, Chris is on the Michelin tire car. Okay, and Ez is actually on the Pirelli tire car. So, okay. Yeah, Chris, you know, Chris is probably the hardest person on tires in this league.
Yeah, and I would agree as well, and it's not always the case that Chris will suffer some tire wear and perhaps slip a little bit off his best laps toward the end of stints, but it certainly has happened in the past. Now, interesting, as we look through time and scoring a little bit here, we've seen Marty Ren have such great pace there to start the last race. I'm just not seeing quite the same pace here in the full dry that we did earlier, and Marty Ren in the 6th spot was about where he was at in our first running. Now running in the 6th position, Juan Monroy ahead of him in the 5th position. So running now about 3 seconds back, and we can quickly look at some of those lap times. Juan Monroy, averaging, I would say, in the 21 flat range to Marty's. Oh, okay, well, we can see now, or I can anyway, don't know how well this picture is showing up for you. Marty Ren actually has picked up the pace a little bit now, lap to lap, running in the low 220 range, so 220 flats. So I retract my statement. It does look like Marty Ren now is picking up a little bit of speed.
Yeah, you know, I think the difference might just be the conditions. You know, Marty in that first race I noticed was really sliding the back end of the car around a lot. I'm thinking maybe because it was damp conditions, maybe the water was helping keep the tires a little bit cool, so he wasn't overheating them so much. You know, and now completely dry track, maybe he can't slide the car as much as he wants, or maybe it's tightened up a little bit on him. And obviously he's still running really good lap times. You know, maybe it's just a case of little fatigue maybe at this point. It is getting close to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which normally by now we're well and done. So it could be a number of different factors playing in here.
Yeah, indeed. Well, as we continue looking through some of these drivers here, Esteban Palacio actually has slipped off the pace here a little bit, running in the same spot he was in our first run, but noticeably, I'd say, off the pace of some of the guys in front of him. And I think David Ralli can certainly match his pace. He's running not too far behind there in 8th, so just a couple 3 seconds behind for David Ralli. And again, with that very good fuel economy of that BMW Z4, that can certainly give David Ralli an advantage when we come up to our pit stops here. And speaking of which, we aren't going to have too many more laps before these guys are going to be thinking to come in here again. I think we'll be looking at laps 16 or 17 thereabouts. The fuel stop window will open up pretty quickly for these GT2 cars, so they'll have some options in terms of when to come in. So we take a. Sorry, go ahead, Rich.
I was just going to comment saying yet. I would fully expect Ralli to. Well, it's going to be tough for Ralli to jump past Marty, and I think Esteban. That Corvette gets pretty good fuel mileage too, so it'll be interesting. A good possibility that Ralli might be able to get past Esteban. Not so sure about Marty. It's really going to come down to how well he gets in and out of the pit stop. As I can see, my teammate there is running 12th. Ian's finally got around him. Not surprising. But on the other hand, Thomas has also gotten past Mike Gieters, which we thought was going to be the key solution.
Yeah, Mike Retrex, as we just saw. Whoa, Thomas, as we watched right along on board with Thomas. Having some difficulty on entry there to Blanchemont, but held on to it nicely. So Ian Jolicoeur has picked up a couple of those spots, as mentioned. Ian Jolicoeur now running 11th and continuing to make ground. So we have to assume that quickly he'll look to be taking over that 10th position, I believe, at the moment. Well, I'm not sure, because we want to look back quickly to Mike Monahan, who has picked up now to the 13th position. So no threat yet from Chow Mein Moto into that team classification, and certainly it has to be said, I think. Well, I have to look here quickly. Standings. But anyway, Mike Monahan now running P13th, and Mike Greatrex, as mentioned, also has now given up a few of those positions to be running 14th, still in a very fine position, and won't be having as much pressure from behind, perhaps, as we might normally see, due to quite a few drivers, unfortunately, having gone out of this race. So some attrition storylines here at Spa as well. Marco Conti is holding down that 15th position currently, and I think might actually be gaining a little bit of ground on that sister Aston Martin. Lou Masciarelli, I noticed him earlier. Lou is putting in a fine run in the 16th position, so into the points for Lou Masciarelli. And we did mention before we restarted our broadcast here, Lou put in a very nice effort in the qualifying race and continuing a strong run here up into the points. So good strong run for Lou. Jaime Mor, we saw him have a little bit of difficulty early on coming up Eau Rouge, but Jaime Mor is now currently holding down the 17th position, about exactly where he was, I believe, after that incident. So Sam Rolfe holding down the 18th position currently, and coming under fire from Gup Douglas now. If memory serves, these two were in a fight earlier. Oh, as Gup Douglas does get it wrong, they're coming through Poolhole. Now Gup Douglas has gone off and into the kitty litter, so he'll have to reset and try to pick up that ground back to Sam Rolfe. Matt Taylor, after that fine starting position we documented, has slipped back now to P20, but no more damage has been accumulated on that Porsche, I don't think, since we last checked in. Chuck Carter running just outside the top 20 now in 21st. And unfortunately, it looks like it's a little bit of a lonely run for Chuck Carter at the moment, as this field has spread out just a little bit. Jack Ivey actually not too far behind, perhaps about 5 or 6 seconds. So in terms of the Mustang-Porsche battle, Jack Ivey will likely have an advantage on his pit stop rotation. So though, as Jack almost gets it wrong coming off the source, don't know how well you picked that up on your pictures, but that was a near thing. Nice job, Jack, to hold that together. And
oh yeah,
my pictures nearly went down there as for some reason the Procaster spit me out the desktop. That could happen at any moment, folks. We're going to bring you the best pictures that we can in this rerunning of Spa here on NAGP TV. Let me take just a quick second as there aren't too many... Oh, Sam Rolfe has just taken a DNF. As I was just about to say, there are no news and notes here of... well, we have one. Sam Rolfe out of this race, and as I look through timing and scoring now, there is another theme developing here as Marty Ren has attached himself to the back bumper of Alex White. Marty Ren getting past at some point Marty Ren, and quickly Alex White is falling under pressure here from Marty Ren. So Juan Monroy putting pressure there on Alex White, and now Marty Ren as well. This is pretty much exactly what we saw in the first race, as Marty Ren indeed does get past rather easily there going into Blanchimont.
Oh yeah, and you know, Marty's connection looks a little bit jittery. If I'm Alex White at this point in time, I think I'm gonna let Marty get away a little bit here. You know, try to preserve my speed. As if I'm Alex White, I'm thinking, hey, big picture here. You can get him back easily on the pit stop.
Yeah, we saw Alex White have a big slide at the rear end there at the source, trying to come down to this long run to Rouge and get the best possible traction coming off. I think if Juan Monroy has the opportunity to get through a Rouge well here, he can have a look at Alex. Alex is really stable up a Rouge, though.
Alex gets a nice good run for it there. You know, I'll tell you, let's see, I think we're around a lap 11, lap 12, and these guys should be pitting another 4 laps or so from my recall of GT2 at Spa.
Well, still in all, these are nervous times for Alex White. He, if I'm not mistaken, I think 7th place is going to be too much for him, or 6th place rather, maybe too much for him to lose. I'll have to go through the points carefully, but as they run out on track, this is going to be a developing battle, I suspect, over the course of this whole race, as perhaps the pace of Juan Monroy and Marty Ren are going to be a little bit better than Alex White, but he should gain back some of that time in the pits. So this is going to be a developing storyline, I think, as we continue our coverage here of this Spa feature event.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the other thing is, the other question is, really comes down to the fuel mileage of that car, because, you know, obviously I would believe Alex would take a full tank of gas, and now the question is he going to need to take another full tank of gas, or is he going to take a little bit less, and when he makes his final pit stop, he's going to take even a little bit less. So, with that, faster pit stop, lighter car, a little bit better pace later in the run, he might then be back in front of those guys around 4th place. That would be a bad position for him.
Yeah, certainly, and we did make some note of it, but these guys will have some strategy options. These GT2 cars, not nearly as thirsty as our GT1 counterparts, and these pit stop windows probably, well, I'm sure, are actually open at the moment. So these guys at any time could be diving in and playing to some strategy or perhaps car strengths. Yeah, Alex White.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, it looks like as of right now, Andres has got a pretty comfortable lead, like he was telling us earlier. He felt pretty good, and it looks like he's showing it right now. I don't think there's anything more really Eza and Chris can do in reeling him in, even if they were getting a little bit better fuel mileage. I don't see it happening. Oh, as pass starts to happen.
Yeah, so speaking of nervy times for Alex White, he did defend coming down Kemmel to the inside. Juan Monroy still able to get past, however, got it a little bit wrong there, as you could see, and Alex White back out in front. So a good opportunity, momentarily squandered, I would have to say, for Juan Monroy, but still with another chance, as Alex White really now beginning to struggle, I would say, with rear grip on that BMW Z4. So he will want to defend this position if he can, but he does not want to let Marty Ren and the possible points escape too far down the road, as mentioned that he wants to use as much of that fuel economy as he possibly can to try to gain that position back on Marty Ren. Yeah, and you know, Esteban Palacio now has not gone anywhere. I think Alex White is going to be giving up a little bit of ground to Esteban Palacio as this race unfolds in its totality. As we come down to the end, I think maybe the overall pace of Esteban Palacio may eat into that advantage of Alex White as well. So very interesting stuff here going on toward the front of this field.
Yeah, you know, I am not surprised at all. Like I said, Alex is going to fight hard to keep some of his position. Sometimes he fights a little bit too hard, as we've seen even last season. He kind of fought me pretty hard for the race lead at Shaiwaka, I think it was, you know, and when he didn't need to. But here, you know, he needs to keep that position, and he's going to fight hard for it.
Yeah, indeed, you're absolutely right, and rightly so. I mean, it comes down to this. This is the race for all the marbles, and you're going to fight as hard as you absolutely have to, you know, hopefully you don't push over that limit. Now, quickly, we should mention Salem Montgomery Jr. here, running in P11th. We haven't had the opportunity to talk a lot about Salem Montgomery Jr., but his fine run here continues in our 2-hour rerunning here at Spa. And looking very sharp in that Mosler. Salem has put together some very nice runs. Hasn't capped all of them off this season, but we should mention a very fine run this season for Salem Montgomery Jr. And hopefully he will finish off some of these results next season that he was showing this season. Now, another guy I could see a little further back, Mike Monahan, is starting to make some inroads on Thomas Schubeck, but I think it has to be said, Mike Monahan is not enjoying some of the pace, certainly of his teammate, or that he would personally like to see this event. Mike Monahan as well has had some great results over the course of the season, picking up a podium or two, if memory serves. But he really needed to perform a little bit better than he has tonight if these guys wanted a realistic shot at that team title. So, but still in all, plenty of race to go here. So Mike Monahan and Chow Mein Moto not by any means out of this at all.
I had noticed that one car was in the pits a little bit early. I think we were around lap 14. So I gotta believe that we're gonna start seeing some cars coming to pit road in the next lap or two.
Yeah, certainly. That was Jaime Mor who had dove in that Lamborghini. So Jaime Mor for his first scheduled service, and he is no doubt rejoined by now. And we see Juan Monroy peel off behind Alex White, maybe trying to get some early tires and gain some advantage there with those fresh tires on Alex White. So Juan Monroy, the first of our front runners to dive into the pits. Well, he does that. I'd like to... Oh, yep, go ahead, Rich.
I was going to say, yep, no, that's not a bad move by Monroy. You know, if you're having that much trouble trying to get past Alex, the best thing to do here is get some fresh tires, get topped off some fuel there, and put out some good fast laps, hopefully with no traffic. Then after the pit stop rotation, might actually put himself ahead of him. But that's going to still be a tough one to overcome.
Yeah, indeed, and I did want to take a quick look at the lap-to-lap times of some of our front runners. I don't know if they're coming through on your screen crisply enough to see, but I could tell you that Andres Prieto has turned nothing but 2-minute 19-second laps all the way through this event with a fast lap of an 18.8. Now, that's important as I was checking on Aaron Parsons now, 11 seconds off of that lead, who is occasionally running in the 2-minute 19 range now, but not nearly enough. So Andres Prieto is just running amazingly consistent laps, and he is doing absolutely everything that he can to walk away with this GT2 championship title. Rich, if you get the opportunity, work some of those points for me as they run on track, and let's see exactly if we know where Alex White needs to finish, because I sure don't want to make a mistake with that, as it does look like this may start to be getting close in that driver's title.
Alright, I'll take a quick look at that. Hold on Lugnuts while I work there.
So, Marty Ren currently, now that is in the 4th position, and we might as well, while we're at it, take a look at. Oh, we did have somebody drop. Let me take a quick look here and see if I notice anybody. David Ralli, John Houston. I don't remember John Houston running all the way up into the 8th spot. We did start to have pit stop rotations, but well, we'll get you updated on that as soon as we can. Marty Ren does dive into the pits. And I did want to check on his lap times. Lap times are very good in the low 2-minute 20-second range. Not as fast as our top 3, but certainly very good relative to everybody else around him. So Aaron Parsons will remain on track for the moment. He will run at least one more lap. He retains the lead as we run. Now, of course, as I look at it, Chris Moses has pitted. Oh, as we have somebody. Oh, and somebody, Johnny Lugnuts. No, Johnny Lugnuts was out. Kevin Miller, I think, also was out early. Somebody else has had a disconnect out there, or accident or something. As boy, this second running of Spa has really claimed a toll on this field. Now, only 20 drivers left in this event. We restarted with 30 drivers, so a third of this field out, and that is very surprising. You'd think we'd have much more attrition in our first running when the track was damp, so that's really unfortunate to see in this finale here. You'd think that the guys would have... Well, in any event, they're out of this race, and that's too bad. So we'd like to give our condolences to those guys, but thank them for running the Season 20 Championship here with NAGP. You all did a great job, and we really appreciate you coming out week after week. It's getting a little late for this broadcaster, getting a little loopy myself, but we're going to hang with it and see who winds up with these titles here tonight. So, Chris Moses back out there on track. It looked like he had just rejoined and gotten passed here by somebody. Yeah, obviously not on the same lap, but had pace up the Rouge and put that Lambo past Chris Moses. I believe that is Jaime Mor. Ooh, gets it up on the curbing there. But Chris Moses will go ahead and slide past, coming through that no-name corner, running down through Pool Home. That's the best I can pronounce it. Andres Prieto rejoins in 4th after his pit stop. So Salem Montgomery Jr. yet to pit. You'd think that he would want to pit pretty soon. And indeed he does, as he was running in that 11th spot. Putting in a very fine run, and he's not going to want us lose too much time, as there were a few guys running right around him. Alex White is going to try to take advantage of his fuel economy by staying out on track. Now, Alex White was giving up some pace on those tires, so he is thinking to gain all the time that he can. Rich mentioned it perhaps on his last stop, taking a really short fill, and I think that's what Alex White has elected to do here. He is going to run as much fuel as he can out of that car and try to shorten up that last stop. So, but in the meantime, he will be giving up on-track pace with worn tires to some of those guys that are around him. Marty Ren, Juan Monroy, all have come in and will be making much better pace than him on those fresh tires. So it remains to be seen just how much this strategy is going to work for Alex White. We're all going to have to wait until that second pit stop comes due for Alex White, and maybe he's got the numbers figured very well. He knows exactly what kind of pace he needs to maintain, but we'll have to see. So interesting developments there. Rich, you have something for us?
Yeah, I just figured out the breakdown here on the points, and as long as my calculations are correct, And the way things are looking, if Andres Prieto wins this race and leads the most laps, Alex has to finish no less than third. If he finishes fourth or worse, he will lose the championship and Andres will win it.
Ah, I see. So quite close. I didn't want to speculate that. I suspected that it was that high, but I didn't want to speculate on it and get something wrong. So, yeah, Alex White on the outside looking in here, and yeah, so we'll have to see. Perhaps then, given all that, that's the reason for this strategy. Now, we should also make note that Juan Monroy has given up a position in the pits to Esteban Palacio. So Esteban Palacio running behind Juan Monroy there, going into our pit stops. So from 7th to 6th place now is Esteban Palacio, and he did not have the same type of pace Juan Monroy did coming into those pit stops. But nonetheless, Juan Monroy is going to have to fight for it if he expects to get back into that 6th position. Still in all, for Juan Monroy, should that not work out for him. Still, Team Columbia in a stranglehold really at the moment for that team championship.
Yeah, I don't know what the team championship's gonna turn out to be here. I don't know if anyone's that yet, but that's one bullet dodge right there. Because if Juan Monroy is that early behind Esteban, Alex should be in pretty good shape. But like you had said, he has to have everything go right for him as the rest of this race plays out. Check your mic.
Mic check there.
Okay, nope, you're coming live.
Uh-oh. There's a possibility I have been muted for a while. I hope that is not the case. My voice is already suffering as it is.
No, it was just a quick couple of seconds.
Okay. Well, thank God for that. Okay. So we have suddenly I see Juan Monroy now in the 6th position. So we have had somebody disconnect here, or was it
Alex White pitted?
Oh, Alex White finally pitted. Thank you. Okay. Whew. I knew there was something going on there. So Alex White, indeed, because of that lap-to-lap pace, has now come out behind Juan Monroy and Esteban Palacio. So Alex White to 7th. Now, we suspected that would happen. This is all going to come down again here to Alex White's last stop. He was going to put all his eggs in the economy basket here. But boy, having to come up all the way to 3rd, this is going to be a big challenge for Alex White. I just don't know that it's going to happen because of the time difference now. 51 seconds back to Andres Prieto, but the important number really would be to Chris Moses, who is currently about 30 seconds ahead of Alex White, and it's sure going to be tough to save that much time in the pits. So, Alex White, I think, may need some help here from the guys in front if he expects to garner enough points here to retain this championship.
Yeah, that's certainly right. Andres is not Alex White's concern at all. He knows he's got to finish 3rd. He can't really. I mean, he's got to assume that Andres is going to take this win, and Alex has to finish 3rd. So basically, he's worried about is those other guys in front of him and trying to make up that time in the pits, which I'm trying to figure out exactly where he might end up.
Yeah, certainly. It's absolutely right. As we see a fight now going through a Rouge, they're going almost going side by side. Juan Monroy backed out there at just the very last second, and I think wisely so as well. That could easily have ended up in tears had, though Juan wants that position very badly. Certainly discretion's the better part of valor there through Aru. So Juan Monroy here will be getting ready to reset and try again for that now 5th position. Alex White did not come out too far behind that group, and Alex White actually was not too far off of Juan Monroy's pace, really. So if these guys do get to fighting quite a bit and Juan Monroy can stay out front there, or if it gets held up by Esteban Palacio, rather, Alex White could find himself getting back to those positions. We know teammate David Ralli now sitting behind Alex White, not only behind his teammate, and perhaps with pretty good pace, but haven't mentioned too much about David Ralli putting in a very fine race here tonight. He has kept it completely out of trouble and really been a good wingman here, protecting Alex White perhaps from a few other positions behind there early in the running. So David Ralli putting in a very fine effort. Hopefully it's very late for both David Ralli and Alex White running out of the islands across the pond. So these guys putting a fine effort here tonight, and I'd like to thank both those guys as well for running in this Season 20 championship. And we haven't checked in on Ian Jolicoeur for a while. Ian Jolicoeur is actually, well, I'm going to just guess here, 8 or 9 seconds off of David Ralli. I have to think Ian Jolicoeur will likely have pace on David Ralli. And we could take a look real quickly at those times. David Ralli actually running pretty nicely in the 19.7 range after that pit stop. And I would think that'd be a pretty good match to Ian Jolicoeur, and indeed Ian Jolicoeur running in the mid-220s at the moment. So, it remains to be seen. We saw Ian Jolicoeur have such good pace relative to the guys he was around, but he was having to fight through a lot of traffic. His times don't reflect the kind of times he'll be able to do now. We'll see if he can pick up that pace and maybe make some inroads on David Ralli.
Yeah, just looking at the timing and scoring here, Andres Prieto has once again ran a new fast lap for himself at a 2:18.283. Chris Moses has just now ran his fastest lap at a 2:19.118, and same for Schubeck. Thomas Schubeck running back there in looks like 10th position if I'm correct. Looks like he just ran his fastest lap of a 2:21.1. So lap times are coming down a little bit. Everyone's starting to set their fastest laps, and we'll see how this all plays out.
Yeah, certainly, and the temperature is absolutely perfect there at 85 degrees Fahrenheit for these guys. And we did want to get you caught up on our runners. We've had quite a bit of attrition in this race, which I wouldn't have necessarily expected here in the dry, but we've seen it nonetheless. As a result, Salem Montgomery is running in the 10th position, so his excellent run here in this Mosler continues with the aforementioned Thomas Schubeck. Now, I have him classified in 11th. But in any event, running not too far off of Salem Montgomery Jr.'s bumper, certainly inside, and that always gives a driver a little bit of lift. Once you can see the back bumper of that guy in front, always adds a little bit more motivation. Now, Mike Monahan has jumped up into the 12th position, and I'd sure like to take a quick look at, as Jaime Mor has recently taken a disconnect, so the attrition continues. Jaime Mor has disconnected from the 17th position. That's where he was running, and everybody behind him will get moved up as a result. This spa track really is doing the most damage to these drivers here tonight. It's so far winning.
Well, I gotta believe that driver fatigue is playing a little part of this.
Yeah, well, we have to stop you real quick, Rich, as we have seen a spin here. Esteban Palacio has gotten turned around, and we can only assume because Juan Monroy has waited for him, as you might have caught on your pictures, that was a result of contact. As a result of that, Alex White goes storming through both of those drivers, and now David Ralli will look to be putting some heat on Esteban Palacio. Now, Juan Monroy must have had a problem coming up a Rouge after that. He must have gotten a little flustered after that contact with Esteban, because David Ralli has now gotten in front. Oh, and we see David Ralli now having a problem coming off Kimmel. So he'll have to reset and make another run at Esteban Palacio, but the big winner here really is Alex White. Now, he is, as Rich mentioned, running his own race. Really, his running on track is just timed to third place, but it's not going to hurt him too much to pick up whatever positions he can, because any disconnect in front or what have you will certainly will help him out a bunch. So any positions that he can pick up on track, he's not going to turn down. So a lot of frantic action there as Esteban Palacio really has got some breathing room now. And hey, again, any positions you could pick up if you're involved in any of these championships, you're going to take for as long as you can.
Well, the big issue Alex is going to have right now is he's looks like about 36 seconds behind Chris Moses in third place. Now, that might, I'm not sure how much that's going to be made up in the pits, but Alex definitely needs a little bit more pace, I think, in order to pull that off.
Yeah, certainly. You wouldn't think 30 seconds would be enough, but that is all Alex White really is concerned about. He is racing against a particular time, and that time is going to be whoever it is that's in third place. So yeah, absolutely right, and it's a tough challenge. It's going to mount. I think that Alex White will need some help to run this off, and I mean, hey, it could happen at any time. Andres Prieto or Aaron Parsons or any of those guys, any positions that have trouble in front for those first five are gonna help him out immensely.
Go ahead and... Okay, never mind.
So, well, go ahead, Rich.
I was just going to say, yeah, I'm trying to do my best here with the live timing scoring. Of course, every now and then get a little bit of a glitch and not sure quite what happened. But it looks like everything's normal here.
Yeah, once again, Rich is a little hampered here, unfortunately not able to view that broadcast. But we really appreciate it, Rich. It's tough at this late hour, and with your work commitments as well. And then being hampered by not even being able to be on the server here watching this live. So really do appreciate the work. In the meantime, we'll once again try to get you caught up on who is running where. Again, with our attrition, don't have as many guys out there as we'd like to give you a field rundown on, but Thomas Schubeck is holding down that 11th spot, and that gap has remained pretty static to Salem Montgomery Jr. in front. So Thomas Schubeck here will probably have some strategy questions to consider, as these guys will be considering their final pit stops coming up pretty soon. So maybe some strategy will help Thomas Schubeck there to get into crack that top 10. I think that would be the first time Thomas Schubeck has pulled that feat off this season. Mike Monahan continuing to run in that 12th position, and is really not picking up the pace too much relative to Thomas Schubeck. So it really does show the pace there of Salem Montgomery Jr. and Thomas Schubeck. They are running in those positions as a result of good pace. We know Mike Monahan has got it. So if those guys are matching that speed, then they are running pretty gosh darn good laps. I'll get it out. Marco Conti now, I was going to say coming under fire, but unfortunately it looks like that's Chuck Carter, who is not quite on the same pace as Marco Conti. But haven't talked much about Marco, but really a 13th place running for Marco. That's actually about where he's been through all of our sessions. Our super pole running, our qualifying race running, and now here in the race. He's been around that 13th spot this whole time. So, and really a very nice run, solidly up into the points there in 13th. Same could be said of Mike Greetrex. Mike Greetrex, as cataloged here several times now, coming off that P10 spot. Real lift for Mike Greetrex here. I hope he's able to finish this one off, because that'll be a boost going into next season. Mike really having trouble coming to grips in his first couple full seasons, but very possibly a sign of things to come from Mike. A great run there in 14th. John Houston, however, has slid back a little bit in this race. Started off about this position, but moved up very nicely. So John Houston, I think, has come to some problems out there on track to here in our second running. Now in the 15th position. Gup Douglas is holding down the 16th position. And we mentioned Chuck Carter now running in the 17th position. He was back there in 21st for a while, so Chuck Carter making some advances. Unfortunately, some of these guys really having to trudge through this late hour and kind of running by themselves out there can be a challenge. So a nice run there with all of that given in 17th. And hey, 17th, one place out of the points. You still gotta fight for all you can to slip into those points-paying positions. Tough task here in these fields. Jack Ivey as well, just a couple places off those points in 18th, and that's actually going to do it. So all these guys really looking to fight for some of these points. That is pretty interesting in its own way. So let's take a quick look in here at the man of the hour, Andres Prieto, lapping up to John Houston at the moment, and Andres Prieto really has not put a wheel wrong. We saw that great launch there off the line to start our broadcast, and it just hasn't done anything else that's been bad here tonight either. So he's going to be looking forward to his second pit stop coming up, and he's not going to do anything out of the ordinary. He'll just run to his normal pit window and keep the tires in as good a shape as he possibly can. And it's all smooth sailing at the moment. So hopefully in situations like this, Rich, when you are able to dictate the pace at a track like Spa, I guess it's really just managing some of the trouble spots. Some of the things that could really get you into trouble and put you out quickly. And I think one of those would have to be a Rouge.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Andres is looking pretty well. He looks a little crazy right there, a little bit, not too bad. But I think Andres, he's definitely running as hard as he can to make sure he caps this off with a win, to get what he needs to get done, which is to win this race, lead the most laps, to give him the best shot at winning this championship. So, and he looks like he's pretty well in charge of that. Like you said, I mean, yeah, all it does take is one mistake and that, but you never know. Crazy things can happen, but Andres is looking really good right now for winning this race for sure.
Well, yeah, and I would have said 3 or 4 seasons ago that Andres Prieto really doesn't have a fifth gear or a fourth gear. He pretty much just has overdrive, but really the last couple seasons he has really learned how to maintain a pace that he knows he can manage for an entire stint. And it's really all it's done is play bonuses to him, and he is involved in these championships season after season now just because of that ability to back it off to 95% when he has to. So not as good of news for Alex White here as it would have been just 3 or 4 seasons ago, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, at this point Andres knows he doesn't need to run at 10/10ths. He just needs to run his race, don't take the risks where he doesn't need to, run as fast as he can, but on the same side, just show a hair of restraint, and he'll have this in the bag, because he's got a good, I think, at least 20-second lead in second place.
Yeah, in the meantime, we do have another battle brewing here with Juan Monroy and David Ralli now coming into lockstep with Ian Jolicoeur just behind. So this is truly a three-way fight for the 7th position. Juan Monroy, for whatever reason, of course, was just latched onto Esteban Palacio's bumper right from right as they rejoined after those pit stops. But I think after that contact with Esteban Palacio there at La Source, Juan Monroy has, it's taken him a little while to collect himself and just quite hasn't been able to do it yet, or is missing some pace, and as a result, now David Ralli is putting some serious pressure on for that position.
I think Ian's he's coming on the scene there. He's been, making his way up through the field, starting way back like he did. And as you said, Riley's really trying to apply the pressure to Monroy there. And I'm not sure if my timing and scoring is screwed up or if I don't see Marty. That could just be the time.
Yeah, we just checked in with Marty. Marty was in the 4th position and remains there in that 4th position. But it should be noted as well, really, that these... Oh, shoot. I desperately apologize to these guys. I keep forgetting their team name. I keep meaning... Of course, it's Kung Fu Racing. Ian Jolicoeur and Marty Ren. Sorry guys, I meant to mention your name like 4 or 5 times now, and I keep forgetting. Finally, I've brought up the point so I can remember that Kung Fu Racing squad. Now, should anything happen to Andres Prieto or Juan Monroy, these guys do have the positions now where they will win that team championship. The Chow Mein Mota, Esteban Palacio, and Mike Monahan do not have the position points as they run to take it over, but Kung Fu Racing do, so they'll be looking forward to take advantage of any Andres Prieto or Juan Monroy happenstance, say a disconnect or some other DNF. So those guys are doing, I guess you could say, what they need to do given their relative pace to Team Columbia.
Yeah, it's going to be a little hard, I think, for them to get enough points. I'm sorry. Andres Prieto, it's going to be a little tough for the Kung Fu to, I think, get over, because that's a lot of points Andres Prieto is going to pick up with the win. But it could still happen. Like you said, they're not out of it. They're definitely in the race for it. They just need to see what happens at this next pit stop. That could change everything.
Well, certainly, and of course they'll have to have a problem by one of those Team Columbia drivers, some type of disconnect or DNF. But Mike Monahan really was kind of flailing, I guess is the word I would use, back there out of the points. But Mike Monahan has gotten up far enough now where if one of those 2 drivers does have a problem, they would certainly have a very good shot at it. So yeah, they'll have to get some help from Team Columbia, but they do retain the positions now where if that does happen, they can slip enough points, I think. So, Alex White has gotten past, as we saw, with that coming together between Esteban Palacio and Juan Monroy. Esteban has not been able to make any other inroads into Alex White just yet, but he certainly has not slipped off anymore either. So, in fact, I think Esteban has picked up a little bit of time on Alex White. And regardless of anything else, again, Alex White is looking more to that 3rd place time, whoever that is. But Esteban would sure like to at least get into that top 5 just to be in the top 5. Pretty important race here at this spot, and everybody wants to step up their game and put in a good effort into our season finale here. So a pretty special race, always a nice achievement to these drivers, and some nice bragging rights headed into next season.
Yeah, looking at Alex White's lap times right now, he's running in the 221s. Esteban is running in the 221s, but about half a second quicker. So Esteban's definitely catching Alex. I just don't know how this is going to play out with pit stops. I don't know how much he's going to save in fuel. At this point, I don't think it's going to be enough. And it doesn't really look like he's got enough pace to get to that 3rd spot. But I can be completely wrong we'll just have to see. I mean, basically my calculations is I figure Alex will probably pit again on lap 36 when you have basically everyone else probably pitting on lap 32.
Well, I think all that sounds right, but you know, something else occurred to me, and it's not outside the realm of possibility at all that Alex White, in addition to taking that short fill, could also go ahead and double stint those tires. If you have no other possibility of getting to that third position, then why not take a chance? It's either sink or swim at that point, I would say, for Alex White. And you know, that BMW Z4 gets extremely good tire wear as well as having that great fuel economy as well. So maybe Alex White is either considering that or will consider it as well as we come up to his final stop.
You know what? You're right. Yeah, I didn't consider that at all, and I think that's the only shot he's got at this point. The car, you know, with whatever weight he's carrying, I don't think he's got the pace that he really needs. He definitely, if he double stints his tires and he can run this pace and double stint the tires, that's probably the best shot he has. He might even be able to pull off a second place. It's still going to be tough, but that's a good 20 plus seconds savings plus you know, the amount of fuel. That might just be enough to get him there.
Yeah, so some interesting developments there for sure. Now, it looks like Thomas Schubeck has managed to get by Salem Montgomery Jr. at some point. Sorry we missed that, but Salem Montgomery Jr. on the outside of looking in on that top 10 finish, and Schubeck's very nice run here continues, so you got to like to see that from your teammate, eh, Rich?
Yeah, like I said earlier in the broadcast here, I think this is probably one of the best tracks for our car. Thomas has been getting faster and faster every week, and I think he's finally got the car dialed in. He finally knows where it needs to be, and he's just running his pace. And that's the other thing about Thomas. You know, he just runs his laps. He runs his pace. He doesn't normally he doesn't overdrive the car, and he can just pick off those spots. And he looks like he's running in the high 221s right now, which is what's helping him out. And it looks like Sam's dropped off a little bit. He's kind of running more in the 223s. So no, that's great to see for Thomas. I really hope he pulls this off and gets himself a top 10.
Well, that's actually very good pace, and I would say that's really the only thing Thomas needs is just a tiny bit more pace. If he could pick up even just a couple 3/10 a lap on a kind of our normal tracks, that would be more than enough to propel him into some of these top 10 finishes on a consistent basis, because you're absolutely right. He does a very good job driving to his own race, does Thomas Schubeck, and really operates on that finish first mentality, and that's really what you have to do if you expect to consistently score those points around here.
Yep. I can see now Salem's starting to apply a little bit of pressure back to him. So we'll see how that plays out. And you know, who knows? Again, fuel mileage. I think that Viper might be getting a little bit better fuel mileage than.
If I'm not mistaken, and I also could be wrong, but I'm relatively sure that Mosler actually gets more or less horrible fuel economy. So, but yeah, and also I wonder if Schubes hasn't, after getting that position, if he hasn't started thinking about it a little bit. It could be a lot easier to follow a guy sometimes than to suddenly you find yourself out in the lead. It can take you a couple laps sometimes to reacquire that best line.
You know, we were just talking about tire strategy going into this last pit stop. You know, Schubeck might be another person who maybe takes a gamble and double stints his tires. He's been doing that a lot this season.
And it's a possibility. Well, those will be some good questions for him to ask himself, as Salem Montgomery Jr. now has repassed for that 10th position. So this very nice dice continues here, and yeah, we'll just have to see how it turns out. I was wondering a little bit. Thomas, I don't think it was still a couple seconds off of Salem's bumper, so I was wondering if that was a mistake. But in any event, those guys still have very close in pace here, lap to lap. So that fight continues.
Yeah, just looking through timing and scoring here, it looks like Eza and Chris are still, they're about 20 seconds behind Andres. They're about 3 seconds apart from each other. They've really pulled away from 4th and 5th. So that's going to be a lot of time for Alex to try and make up there. Just don't know if he can do that there. And as we look down through the rest of the field, it looks like actually Esteban's catching Alex. Monroy's not far behind. Ralli's not even that far behind as well. So things are starting to tighten up in a good spot.
Yeah, indeed. We're just looking at some of those times. Did want to catch up on a little bit of action here as Gup Douglas is now trying to apply some pressure to John Houston for that 14th position. So Mike Greetrex, unfortunately, has slid back a little bit. I thought that those positions were gained by those guys in front. So now running P16 is Mike Greetrex, still in the points. But you're absolutely right. We should keep abreast on some of this action over the 5th position because this battle is still quite tight. And these guys have been putting on a very good show. They've run quite a few laps here at Spa over a pretty considerable period of time, and to still be running this close together shows just some of the skill that these guys have. To be able to keep those times from lap to lap so consistent, well at the same time, trying to push to get in front of the guy who's in front of your windscreen there. So fine driving by all these 3 guys.
Looks like we're working around lap 30, so another 2 laps or so. I'd expect the top 3, top 4 start making their pit stops, and we'll see what Alex does. Yeah,
well, that's really going to be the interesting note there, I think, is I'm looking here through timing and scoring. Andres just has not ever been out of the 219s, all the way up into his pit stop on the last stint. Just remarkable consistency. I'm more or less stunned, honestly, to see just those. It's kind of robotic-like, really. So Andres Prieto has not given up an ounce of concentration out there on track. Okay, we saw Juan Monroy peel off for the pits here just now. So Juan Monroy first to blink on our final pit stop rotation here.
What lap is that? I mean, is he going to be able to go? Is this lap 31? I mean, because is he going to be able to go 18 laps, 17 laps?
He is, yes, he is working the end of lap 30, and I'd have to think that he would, but I guess it remains to be seen. I think that'd be 18 laps for Juan Monroy.
Well, that's the thing. I'm thinking if Alex White went 18 laps on his first stop, and let's just assume that's the furthest he can go in a car that we know gets good gas mileage, and we know that that Audi doesn't get that great of gas mileage. I'm just wondering if he's going to be able to make it to the end.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'd have to think that they got the laps right, but we have seen Juan Monroy run out of fuel in the past, and it hasn't happened a lot, but I would say relative to other guys, we've seen it more often from Juan Monroy than we have from other drivers. I can remember 2, maybe 3 times that it's happened to him, so it's certainly something we'll have to keep an eye on. Hope that's not the case, but again, any little thing, these positions are important for these guys, even if it doesn't seem like it, because any little change, say something like, for instance, Juan Monroy running out of fuel on the last lap, well, that's going to drastically change this team outlook quickly. Now we see teammate Andres Prieto come in just the next lap after. So I got to think they can make the distance anyway.
Wow, either their cars are getting better fuel mileage than we thought, or this could be really something else. Because if they have to start backpedaling, that could be one lap short. I'm wondering if he keep it too early. I don't know. Man, this is this could be really interesting.
Well, one thing's for sure, you know, I would think that they would believe that they can make the distances, particularly on Andres Prieto's side, always pretty up on the strategy in terms of what it is they plan to do before the race. So always pretty up on what they feel they need to do pre-race. So yep, we'll definitely keep an eye on that. The man of the hour, the guy we really do need to keep an eye on here for the next couple 3 laps, however, is Alex White. So Alex White currently second on track and 53 seconds in arrears, but that's not really the important guy we need to keep an eye on. It's really going to be the gap to Chris Moses when he does come out of the pits here, to see what kind of gap it is back to Chris Moses, and if possibly Alex White can save enough time in the pit stop to retain that 3rd position he so desperately needs. But, you know, coming out of that pit stop is ahead of Chris Moses, say, or whoever happens to be in 3rd place at that point. No guarantee. He's going to have to retain that position after his stop. And so a lot of question marks here for Alex White.
Yeah. I mean, you know, maybe we got it all wrong. Maybe Alex can go even further. Who knows? It's going to be it'll be really interesting to see. Because my calculations, if he's going to go another 18 laps, or should I say to lap 36, that means he'll have 12 laps he needs to stay ahead of whoever it might be, if he can come out in that 3rd position.
Yeah, certainly a tough task. So we'll keep an eye on that as these drivers might be fading a little bit, running a little extra time than they wanted to. So goes my voice, but it'll hold up just as long as we need it to, and bring you the rest of this exciting action. Again, I feel compelled to recap a little bit. We've had a lot of attrition this race. But we've seen some great battles here, as we still have basically all our contenders for these championships on board, with the exception of unfortunately 05 Motorsports, which did not make the grid for this race. So we just wanted to make sure we recap that. But all these positions very much alive, and as they run on track, Andres Prieto will take over in this season 20 finale the individual drivers points title and take home that championship. So still quite a bit of running to go, but as they run, that is the case at the moment. So Alex White, as a result of some of these pit stops taking place, has gone into the lead, and we'll be awaiting his pit stop upcoming. Aaron Parsons coming in for his final regular service. Comes off the jack, and he is away. Salem Montgomery Jr. just coming in for his final service. John Houston as well. Looks like Marty Ren has not come in for his final service yet. Looking through the lap times there. Oh, but he's in 6th, so he must have. He was in 4th place before that.
Yeah, no, he definitely pitted.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah, it was at the very bottom of my timing and scoring. Okay, so an interesting battle brewing here. Juan Monroy and Esteban Palacio. I'm not sure if, I think both those guys have pitted, and if that's the case, Juan Monroy has picked up quite a bit of time on Esteban Palacio. He, of course, had that contact with Esteban at La Source, and really had become what appeared to be quite discombobulated, falling to teammate of Alex White, David Ralli. But that battle, those three drivers, that battle has become rejoined here after those pit stops. All those guys running within just 4 seconds or so of each other. And so Juan Monroy, I think, has maybe gotten settled back down after those stops. He's going to make his charge back up into 6th place. Kurt on the broadcast having some familiarity with that Z4, so good update by Kurt letting us know that that Z4 can go 19 laps.
Yeah, I'm looking at your time, or the feed I should say, and I'm only seeing 40 seconds of a gap between him and Eza and Chris Moses. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be enough.
Yeah, 42 seconds, obviously a tough task to overcome, and again, even if he does manage to get in front, he's got to stay there the remainder of laps that he has to run there out on track. So definitely outside looking in, but the same thing holds true now as ever. Any positions in front, a disconnect or DNF can happen at any moment for those guys in front. So just as far as you can possibly stay, as close as you can stay lap after lap, you still got to give 100% because you just never know, a fuel shortage or anything. Yeah, and so that's what I have to say. It's been a very good run for Alex White. No matter what happens, he has, I think, driven just as hard as he possibly can to the best time that he can. For all these laps now, so he's done as much as he can possibly do. And you know, one thing I was going to mention earlier, I didn't happen to get to, is we have seen Alex White really handle weight ballast very well over the course of this entire season and last season as well. But I really think that it has affected him here in this finale. I noticed it and mentioned it actually earlier that his weight ballast did seem to affect him last week, and I think in this race as well, it really has. I think perhaps decided this season 20 Drivers' Championship. So usually quite adept at managing that weight, but I don't think it's worked out very well here at Spa. A combination of that weight and this track.
Yeah, with all the elevation changes, high speed turns, all that added weight, just use the tires just a little bit more. You're not going to be able to keep up the same pace lap in and lap out, or as Andres Prieto is doing basically. So that's really the biggest problem. You know, you finally get to a maximum weight on a car that there's just, no matter how talented you are, you're not going to be able to overcome it. This is again a 2-hour endurance race, longer race. You got to run more laps. It's just gonna hurt your car over the run. But having said all that, like you said, anything can happen. He still has to run as hard as he can. We've seen crazier things happen before in the past. You know, drivers getting taken out on the next to last lap. Drivers running out of fuel. So you know, 1 minute you might be in 5th, and the next minute you might be 2nd. Anything can happen.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and we have seen it in the past. Now, we've mentioned it at the top of the show, actually, that Spa is pretty renowned for late race fireworks. You know, we're kind of getting into that zone. You may recall Eza coming to almost a bad end with lap traffic and having to finish the last lap or two with no splitter to retain that championship. And there's been quite a few others. Normally every race around here, Eza's actually been involved in a couple of those types of events, so it'll be interesting to see if that form holds true here toward the end. But in any event, despite our gaps opening up and a lot of attrition around this race, we've had some very intriguing storylines here, and I suspect that there's a few yet to come.
Looks like Andres is caught Alex. I'm just having a little trouble hearing you, Brad. I don't know if it's just, it might again be on my end or something, but I just can't. I can barely hear you right now.
Okay, I may have flipped over that mute once again. I hope I'm coming through okay. Not sure.
Now you're loud.
Yeah. I'm trying to kind of clear my throat here when I have the opportunity. So, yeah, but, okay, so it's still a time difference, but now Alex White being down these positions actually do become important. So now he needs quite a few more guys to go out of this event for him to get lucky here, whereas if he was back in that 5th spot, he needs quite a bit more luck now, as those points positions are important. Even if you do need to get lucky with some guys going out in front of you, now he needs quite a bit more. So Alex White on the outside looking in on this Season 20 Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look here. That pit stop it was 11 seconds faster than his last one. Obviously, I'm assuming he took tires as well, so he didn't play that card. And it's looking like it's just not going to work out. Obviously, I'm sure his teammate will let him by. They're not too far behind, 5th place, but that's probably the most he can hope for under race pace conditions. Then after that, he's going to need a whole hell of a lot of luck. Meanwhile, actually, Chris Moses just turned another fast lap for himself. 2:18.783. That's a new fast lap for himself.
Yeah, and we'll pick that up. Obviously, Chris Moses wants to do battle with Aaron Parsons in the worst way, and that gap is as close as it's more or less ever been, I would have to say. These guys have been very close on time. We've had all these other storylines going on, so haven't had the opportunity to get to that too much. Those positions have stayed pretty static, but he's going to be pushing like mad. However, I could tell you that Aaron Parsons is going to be doing the same exact thing. These guys have fought against each other as long as anybody around here. So they're always bragging rights, race to race going on with these guys. They would love to do battle once again here to finish out this Season 20 GT2 Championship.
Yes, yeah, at this point, it just seems like during the stint, one or the other's car starts to come alive as the other one falls off a little bit. I see Alex White has gotten past Ralli. But going back to Chris Moses and Aaron Parsons, yeah, those two are going to battle it out. Again, you never know what's going to happen. All it takes is just a little bit of lap traffic somewhere. It might slow you up just enough. If Chris Moses can get on the tail of Aaron, then game on, and Chris will try as hard as he can to close that gap and make that pass.
Yes, indeed. As we see now, Andres Prieto coming up to some lap traffic. He'll want to gingerly work. These guys probably haven't seen too much lap traffic here, as once again, as mentioned, our attrition has played a bit of a factor here in this race. But that traffic yielding smartly, and Andres Prieto through without any complications.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everyone's showing some good caution here. There's no reason for Andres to push it with any of these lap cars. They know what's going on. They know he's faster. And I just see Gup Douglas is out with suspension failure.
Yeah, indeed. We wanted to pick that up, and that's just how quickly it could happen. Gup Douglas out of this event, and boy, closing out our laps here, that is the worst possible way to end it. You'd almost prefer an opening lap problem sometimes to having to close down late in these feature events. So bad news there for Gup. Very unfortunate. But it's not going to deter Gup. He'll be back next season ready to go once again. So thanks for all the races, Gup, this season. Thank you so much for all the work you do around here and organizing some of those other sims. I guess there's no reason why we can't mention Art Factor 2 around here. Why not? Well, I guess I just did. So Gup has been organizing some GT2 action for us, and thank you so much for that. Now, we should get you caught up a little bit on what's going on here. We've seen Alex White and where he's been running, because that's a big storyline here tonight. But it should be mentioned Ian Jolicoeur as well. We'll get you caught up on some of these other runners. You know, Ian Jolicoeur is making some nice inroads into this field, but it looks to me like he has slipped back a little bit off of who is now in 8th place, David Ralli. So it seems to me like his march through the field may have been stymied a little bit here for whatever reason after his final pit stop. Salem Montgomery Jr. now holding down that 10th spot, and let's have a drum roll for Thomas Schubeck. And Thomas Schubeck is still running 11th. However, he has slipped off of Salem's pace. But so for the first time, actually, I would say this entire race, that battle is not nip and tuck. But Thomas Schubeck still running very nicely in that 11th spot. Mike Monahan is continuing to run in 12th, just now having leader Andres Prieto go through. And Marco Conti is retaining that 13th position. So his nice run continues. Mike Greetrex has picked up a couple positions from the last time we've seen him. I have to assume that he has completed his final stop. So, a couple more positions gained from Mike Greetrex. One certainly just from Gup Douglas's retirement. John Houston has not quite put in the race that he would have liked. I think I mentioned that last time we had an eyeball on John, but still in all, running in the 15th position. Not a bad run for John. And go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I was going to say, a little surprising. You know, John Houston usually runs a little bit better than that. Don't know, quite what's going on there. But one thing I said before, and I'm going to say it again, I got to believe, driver fatigue is becoming a big factor here with some of these guys. If you actually add everything up, they've already run about 53 laps, if you include the first race that didn't happen. And, they still have another 8 or 9 laps to go here. And it's getting late for some people, so you start losing a little bit of concentration and get bit, or your lap times start to fall off a little bit, and you just got to drive a little bit slower just because the concentration level isn't quite there.
Yeah, always a factor, and some of these guys aren't quite used to our GT1. Oh, as we see Alex White closing it on Juan Monroy, but gets it wrong coming off Stavilo and kicks up some kitty litter, probably into teammate David Ralli's windscreen there, but continues without too much trouble. But yeah, going back to our GT1 events, of course, our finales and feature races are 3 hours in length, and that can be quite a battle. So some of these GT2 guys perhaps not used to running these long events, and should mention, well, while we are on that topic, of course, Jack Ivey and Ken Rodriguez will be bringing you that GT1 final in its entirety. We do have the qualifying race actually coming up. We will be doing a Super Pole event, a true Super Pole event, I believe, for that race, and qualifying race to follow. And some very interesting storylines in that GT1 class as well. So make sure you tune in for that. Coming up this Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, I believe there's 2 guys going for the championship there, only separated by, I believe, 6 points, and we'll have to just see what happens, I guess.
We have confirmation on that 6-point gap, because last time I looked at the points, I didn't quite see that they were updated.
Yes, we do. We have Rich Roman with 141 points, and Brad Murray with 135.
Yeah, certainly. So very close battle there. It'll be fun doing battle with your Rich out there at on Thursday night to kick off that feature event.
Well, while I got the chance here, I'd like to just say, great season by you for sure. Good season throughout. It's been a tight battle between the two of us, and whatever happens in the last race, I just want to say it's a good season no matter who comes out on top.
Yep, you too, Rich. It has been a great season, and always a great competitor to be running against you. So all the pleasure is mine, my friend, and I look forward to doing it one more time.
Right on.
Oh, John Houston now has taken some suspension damage, and perhaps some of that fatigue you talked about coming into play, as John Houston now out of this race. So, assuming Jack Ivey doesn't put it into the wall here before he gets past the pits, every single one of our runners tonight is going to be in the points. Unbelievable. I'm frankly just shocked that half this field has come to a bad end around this track. This has happened before, and it's surprised me too. Certainly, I think it is some of the fatigue playing into this and having to start and stop and restart. But still, to lose this many guys, I'd sure like to see a little bit better than that from this group, and ordinarily we do. But these guys having some trouble out there tonight. So everybody who finishes from here on out will garner some of those NAGP championship points. So congratulations all to these guys, and for all these guys who didn't quite cap this thing off, we still want to thank you for a great season and for taking part. We know the time and dedication it takes. Hopefully we all had some fun this season. We know certainly that I had a lot of fun broadcasting this GT2 season. So thank you so much for taking part. Now, it is almost all over but the crying. I think our storylines are almost complete as we wind down the laps here. Alex White still needs a whole lot of help here to retain that Drivers' Championship. Pretty much Team Columbia has this thing locked down at the moment, unless Andres Prieto or Juan Monroy come to a bad end. And even then, it's actually still a little bit in question. So we're quickly writing our final chapter here and wrapping up this season 20 championship. We're going to make sure we don't miss anything, however, as Alex White is continuing slowly but surely to creep up on Juan Monroy, and I'm not sure exactly why that is. Juan Monroy has had pace more or less from the drop of the green flag on Alex White, but finds himself slowly but surely falling back into Alex's clutches, though. It has to be said, I don't know that Alex White is going to force the issue too much here. I think he knows that really what he's going to need are some disconnects or DNFs in front.
Yeah, he's going to need a few drivers to fall asleep at the wheel, basically. Unfortunately, like I said, I think everything's pretty much played out. And again, anything can still happen, but, you know, Team Columbia is definitely looks like they're in the driver's seat in both the team championship and individual championship. They just need to keep doing what they're doing and bring it home.
Yeah, indeed. So, showing about, sorry, as I kind of got stuck on timing and scoring there. Yeah, certainly so. Running just about 5 or 6 laps left to run here in this event. As Juan Monroy also continues to creep up on Esteban Palacio here. Actually, I'd say he's a little closer now than he has been in the last 3 laps. So Juan Monroy looking to slip into that top 5. And again, it's a pretty special event. These guys all want to finish in their best possible positions, and top 5 around here. That's always it's always a goal of mine. Competition's so difficult. It's definitely not an easy task. But that's a pretty special spot to be in that top 5. And Juan Monroy is certainly going to push to make it happen here in these closing laps.
Yep. Definitely, he's definitely pushing for it. He definitely wants to probably stay ahead of Alex White as well to help out his teammate. Not that he really needs much help at this point, but you know, everyone's going for whatever they can. And we got a few more laps left, and we're slowly winding down season 20 of NAGP GT2 racing.
Well, as we do that, Rich, you know, it comes to mind that you have had the opportunity to take part in most of the season. Are there any standout moments for you, either as an individual driver or anything that's happened out on track in this field over the course of this season?
Well, I gotta tell you, I think, I mean, I gotta say this championship kind of flip-flopped a little bit. It went a little up and down. You know, Andres Prieto, I believe, at one point in time was leading the championship, and I think Alex Way at one point was looking a little bit better, and I've actually lost touch of what happened to some of the drivers, but you know, championship definitely seemed, again, even in GT2, pretty close for the most part, and that's basically where we're at right now. Alex trying to go for the repeat there, and Andres is looking to cap off. I think this would be his first GT2 championship, so if I'm mistaken, I'm sorry, but if not, good job for Andres.
Yeah, a few laps yet to run, but he certainly looks in pretty strong contention. I tell you, this was a very tight championship, both on the driver's side and team side. About midway through this season, the team title has been just incredibly close all this season. But really, to my mind, I think the big story has been Chris Moses midway through this season, starting at that Choica race you mentioned, coming through with just a single point over the course of 4 races. Enna, Zandvoort, Zolder, collecting no points whatsoever in all 3 of those events, so and had led that championship at that point. So just a remarkable drop-off, and a horrible stretch there for Chris Moses. Really, actually, unlike anything we've seen him have in NAGP before to go that stretch. So, you know, hey, it happens to everybody. Certainly, we all go through slumps, whether at the front or at the back of this grid, and take heart if you are back there toward the back of the grid, that it happens to everybody. So that was a pretty interesting happening for me here in season 20.
Yeah, you know, now that you mention it, I have to say, looking at the team championship, I mean, that's the tightest team championship I think we've had in a long time between 4 different teams. That's unbelievable, especially since they were only separated by 2, 4, 5 points. And that was really remarkable. Unfortunately for 05 Motorsports, things just did not work out for them. They would have had a really good shot at taking the team for the title. And so, unfortunate current events that happen here. But again, Andres Prieto and Juan Monroy look like they're really going to finish off this season pretty well.
Boy, you're right about that. 05 Motorsports would, I mean, who knows? But all things being equal, Brian Mongrain certainly had pace there in our first running to be ahead of some of the guys he needed to be ahead of. And John Sportelli, no stranger to just being able to maintain a good pace and keep it on track. And with some of the attrition we've seen, those guys could have been just right in there along with everybody else. So right to the end of this checkered flag, it could have gone all the way down to a 4-way battle to this championship. So yeah, tough break there. Those guys will regroup and get back. It's tough. I think for me, if I'm those 05 guys, I think I stick around come hell or high water myself. And I know it's tough to have to go through this stuff, but but that's just me personally. So I suspect that you might feel the same way, but everybody doesn't have to feel that way.
Yeah, I don't think I could have left it on the table like that myself. So I definitely. But you know, hey, everyone's got commitments, and you know, that's why I'm not on the track right now. You know, some things are just out of our control. Team championship, probably would have found a way to make it.
Yeah, well, we see that battle continuing here between Juan Monroy and Esteban Palacio. These guys have seen each other's bumper either in front or behind here just this entire race. So it might be a case of last driver standing here as we go into the last lap. I guess we're just going to have to see who prevails. And it's been a little interesting for me to see Juan Monroy's pace. It really has kind of yo-yoed, I would say. He's been faster for stretches and then slower through stretches. Maybe some of that mental fatigue, and he kind of snaps back. Maybe grabs a cup of coffee on the pit stops or something, and finds his pace again. But in any event, quite a battle these guys have had going on, and thanks to them for being part of this Season 20 championship. You know, both these drivers, regardless of how they finish this race, are going to have very strong points finishes in this driver's title, and had the opportunity, could have mentioned a bit more about that. Esteban sitting currently in the 4th position, and with David Poole not being able to make it out here tonight, will probably take over he's in 5th. It will take over that 4th position in the overall drivers' points. And boy, that is a fantastic run there for Esteban Palacio, and really a great run all the way through this season, not only for Esteban, but Jaime Mor. Looks like they will not be able to get it done here tonight, but leading that championship for much of this season with Mike Monahan just coming, not quite up the pace for the last couple of races, but not necessarily due to his own driving. It's just part of the deal that happens, and those guys slipped a little off the pace, but put in a fantastic year, and congratulations to them.
Yeah, actually, Mike Monahan, I know for sure, he's fighting driver fatigue right now, so he's doing a hell of a job hanging in there. He's one that I know gets affected by these long races that we don't see in the GT1. So he's doing a hell of a job. He's had a great season all season long. And I'd definitely watch out for these guys for next season. If they come back, both ready to go, they'll be in contention to get a good team championship.
Yeah, I think that's certainly the case, and we've always suspected in seasons past that, well, yeah, they certainly have the possibility. They just haven't quite done it, and for me, I'd have to say is a little bit of a surprise for that team to start off so strong and then maintain it throughout the course of the season. So I'm really looking forward to. We have just some great teams and a great parity, and I don't see any reason why our next season wouldn't be just as competitive as this one. And certainly now, it has to be said, Jaime Mor well and truly deserves mention as part of that. Part of those contenders for that championship. Okay, so I keep referring here, we're working lap 46. So a couple laps to go. I see Mike Greetrex has dove into the pits.
No, I think you muted again. Check your mute.
Sorry, had to. I keep having to take some water or do something, and that all comes through the broadcaster on live stream. So I'm doing that. But you saw in your pictures are Mike Greetrex having to come in for a late stop for what we assume is fuel, and I don't think Chuck Carter is quite going to have the time in hand here to get back past. But yeah, Mike Greetrex near position lost. Boy, and this battle is gonna come right down to the end. Steady on, boys. Don't let the last lap cause you to take too many chances there, as we have just now about 1.5 to go.
And it looks like Thomas Schubeck has picked up that 10th place position over Sullivan Jr.
Oh boy, so some late race fireworks for those guys. As Salem Montgomery Jr., you have to think would have some type of problem out there to get past, as he was well and truly in front of Thomas Schubeck. And let's just look, that is Mike Monahan now running behind Salem Montgomery Jr. So Mike Monahan looking to pick up a late spot here as well. So 1 lap to go, and they're coming back together here. Want to quickly make sure we don't miss either of those. They're not too far back, so we'll just try to scroll back through. Oh, and Mike Monahan easily passed, so that looks like it's going to be fuel concerns for Salem Montgomery Jr. I would think that he is backing off a little bit on that throttle, trying to make it to the end here, and we certainly hope that he does. Salem, got it a little wrong there. Oh, well, that's going to help him save some fuel. Of course, he's not gaining any ground on... Oh, Salem. Oh, he had run out of fuel, and that's it. Andres Prieto has crossed the line. Salem Montgomery Jr. has shown as out of fuel. Yeah, well, see, that's how quickly things can happen. Now, that didn't happen quickly enough for Alex White. Andres Prieto has crossed the line. He is your Season 20 GT2 champion. Congratulations to Andres Prieto. Aaron Parsons now will be coming to the line, and will take second here in our feature race at Spa. Chris Moses will cap off a fine run there in third. Never did quite get to Aaron's bumper to join battle with him, but third place nonetheless, a fine showing to Chris's otherwise dismal season, it has to be said. Marty Ren pretty much on his own pretty much all of this race once the position settled down a little bit, but still in all a fine run for Marty Ren. Just didn't...
Where's Juan Monroy?
Perhaps your fuel concerns playing havoc with Juan Monroy. Juan Monroy not classified. Oh, you're going to have to run those numbers for us in the team classification, Rich. Oh, boy.
Okay, all right.
Oh, crap balls. I'll say that because it's so late. We have Marty Ren in fourth. Teammate Ian Jolicoeur took... Oh, crap. I don't know where the hell they're running. Damn it!
Alright, let me see if I can figure this out. That could be big. That could be big.
I think if Juan Monroy has gone out of this race, it's going to be either Chow Mein Moto or why do I keep forgetting? Or Kung Fu Racing. I keep forgetting your names. It's going to be one or the other, I think, Rich. Oh, crap. And we have lost... I have lost sight of who was running where for those respective teams. Ian Jolicoeur was in 9th. Teammate Marty Ren was in 4th. Esteban Palacio was in 5th. Mike Monahan was... Oh, but those guys will gain positions if Juan Monroy went out. Well, stay tuned, folks. We're going to try to work on those numbers for you, but I'm relatively sure, actually, that that team title has been claimed by either Kung Fu Racing or Chow Mein Moto. If we get confirmation of Juan Monroy going out, I think that he did. And you're go ahead.
It's going to be absolutely pretty close because I believe it really depends on where Juan went out. I mean, if he went down that lap or so, then he might have finished around 12th or 13th. But if he's actually finished on the lead lap, which is possible, I just don't know, it's going to be close in the points. It's going to be really close.
Well, roger that. I can only say... for anybody who is not an NAGP member and runs here regularly, if there is anybody on the broadcast at this point, commend your dedication, the first thing. Second thing is you'll have to run over to NorthAmericanGP.com for those final results, but please do. So we did have some late excitement here at Spa that we didn't look closely enough. Those last couple laps here always produce something. and it looked like it has once again. So let's go ahead and keep these drivers in our thoughts and thank them for just an incredible season 20 and for being such dedicated members here at NAGP. I'd like to thank also Al Merriman for all the incredible work that he does around here. We obviously wouldn't have a place to race without Al and some of our broadcasts. We've had some struggles this season, true, but we're sure to have much better luck next season. And special thanks to Chris Moses as well. He does so much hard work on these car packs and organizing things around here. So all of you drivers, thank you so much for coming out once again. Make sure you look at those final results. They're at the website to find out just what happened with those team classifications. And we're going to go ahead and wrap up season 20 now. Rich, thank you so much for jumping in this last broadcast here. You have any wrap-up thoughts yourself?
Oh no! Like you said, anything can happen at the end. I was a little concerned that Juan had pitted a little early, and now I got so excited I lost my pen. I don't know where anyone finished. I found a backup one. I'm trying to figure out the points, but anyway, great season. Congratulations, Andres Prieto, for the championship. And again, great job by everyone involved. Al, Brad, Gup, who does some stuff, Chris Moses, of course, and another great season, a very tight team championship, and a championship that came down to the very end. What more can you ask for?
Yeah, absolutely, Rich. Well, let me, once again, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here tonight, guys. Thank you all once again. We look very much forward to seeing you all next season. And other than that, good night. Thanks for staying with us.